In our last video, we did the unboxing of the MJX Bugs 20 EIS drone, or the B20 EIS drone. Having the drone for 6 weeks already and getting a chance to fly it, I can give you all the pros and cons and what I really think of it. Is this the best drone for under $200? Is this worth buying? Is this the drone for you? Well, I'm about to give you the pros and cons, and we're going to start on the bench. Also, if you want to see the previous unboxing video, please check the description below. And one of the first things is the props do not fold, which is a big negative, and the arms do not fold, which makes it very troublesome for transporting it around. The drone does have very large legs and are very sturdy for hard landings, and also to keep from cutting the grass. Also has the landing lights underneath, 2 landing lights, followed by the optical flow sensor. The camera is held in place by some rubber grommets, which allows it to move around. Overall, the drone seems pretty sturdy. The SD card goes right in the front. You push it down and it pops up, but it's a little bit difficult getting out. So I'm just going to go ahead and push it back in. Overall quality of the drone seems to be pretty well. Right here you have a set of lights, the green and red lights, which are pretty visible from up in the sky. This little section's a little shiny part, which, as you can see, has fingerprints on it. This drone does have brushless motors. And this is the battery, which I covered on the last video. And it seems to be very well made, very well constructed. The battery is charged via USB-C connector. The battery inserts in here and clips in. You'll hear a clipping sound. And then you hold down this little button right here to turn it on, and when all 4 lights come on, you get a beeping sound. And to turn it off, you just hold the button back down until all the lights turn off. And one of the cool things about the remote is these antennas are actually real antennas. As you can see here, you can see a little wire inside. So you get about a good honest 1,000 meters out of the remote control, with about 600 from the FPV. The remote's pretty well constructed and pretty durable. Sticks feel good. Has a nice LED screen. And over here you have your camera button. You have your speed button and your light button, and this button doesn't actually do anything. Your on and off is right here. It also has a propeller unlock button. And right here you pull this out and you can put a pretty large phone in here. I have a Galaxy S9 Plus and it fits in there with the case. Overall, the controller is really durable. So as far as the drone flying, it's very, very stable. It flies really, really nice. And it's a great drone for beginners to learn to fly it. And the drone stays extremely steady, even in windy conditions. Definitely, this is a drone you could pick up and, without knowing how to fly a drone, figure it out pretty quickly. As far as ascending and descending, it ascends really fast. As far as one of the cons that I see, every time you turn the drone on, you have to do the GPS calibration for it. There is a GPS on and off button on the side of the controller. I suggest you leave it on at all times. The controller also shows the battery of the controller and the drone. Also, it shows the altitude and the distance of the drone from you. The app is pretty straightforward. This is one of the nicer apps I've seen. It has a lot of tips and a lot of tricks. And it has all the usual stuff. like the circle me mode and the follow me mode. Over on the right side, the red button that you see is the video button. The top button, right over the white button, is the picture button, which there's also a button on the controller for pictures. The drone will do 4K in 30 frames per second and 1080p at 60 frames per second. And if you hit this little camera button, you get a bunch of different features. You get the bright and saturation button along with effects like grayscale, bright, and nostalgic. Underneath it, you have your ISO controller, and the white balance section has things for sunny days, indoor, and cloudy days. And this feature works pretty well. Underneath it, the last tab shows the amount of cache frame numbers. I always leave it at stock, and it shows the used memory on your SD card. In this one, I used a 32 gigabyte card. I do suggest using a 64 gigabyte SanDisk Extreme Pro, 64 gigabyte, and I also suggest formatting the card. I will get to those reasons towards the end of the video on why I would do that. The EIS is on by default. I'm not sure if you can turn that off, but they call it the Smooth Max electronic image stabilization. It works pretty similar to how a GoPro camera would work. So the drone has two speeds, either super slow in tripod mode with a average speed of 1.6 meters per second. The other speed is super fast, which it'll do an average of close to 12 meters per second. The image quality on the drone looks pretty amazing for a drone for under $200. The image is the best I've seen on a drone under $200. The stabilization in tripod mode is really, really good. As you can see in the video, there's no color grading or anything done. And this is in 4K 30 frames per second. For your average beginner, this is extremely great quality. Now, another feature, the video quality is extremely good. The picture quality, it's a little on the lackluster side, as you'll see in these pictures coming up. There is no color grading done on any of these pictures. Now, one of the things I do love about this drone is the zoom feature. You would not see a zoom feature on drones under $200. This is the first drone I've ever seen with a zoom feature, and the zoom is pretty incredible. It doesn't get blurry as you zoom into objects. As you can see, this bird, this hawk, sitting on this branch here. As I got up close to him and I zoomed in on him. Hey buddy, how you doing? Don't mind me. Now, here's one of the things that drives me crazy about this drone. One of the cons, the biggest con for me, is the crooked horizon. Yes, depending on which way the wind's blowing, you get a crooked horizon when you start pushing it up in the air at a great distance. You could avoid this by moving the gimbal a little lower and not facing the horizon, but yeah, as you see here, it doesn't matter which direction you go into, you're going to get a crooked horizon. Now, one of the pros about this drone is it has some super bright landing lights. As you can see here, this was in the late afternoon, and you could still see the lights as it's coming down, which I would say would work extremely well at night. Also, the home feature, when you do click home, this drone always comes back home. Now, how close are you going to get to the landing pad? And as you can see, as it lands, it doesn't cut up the grass that bad. Now, this does vary. In this one, we missed the landing pad by about 5 feet. Your expected fly time on the battery is somewhere between 15 to 18 minutes, depending on how you fly. If you leave it in tripod mode, you should get about close to 18 minutes out of it. The battery takes around 3 hours to get the full charge out of it using the USB-C connector. Another thing, it takes a little bit to get used to as far as moving the camera up and down. The wheel is very sensitive and it moves very quickly, but that's something with trial and error that you can get used to. The GPS switch that I didn't mention earlier on the controller is on the side of the controller. I do suggest leaving the GPS on at all times. Other drones currently in this price range is the MJX B20, which is pretty much the same drone as this one, except it's a foldable drone with foldable propellers. The drone is a couple of bucks more, but it should be under $200. One of the biggest new drones I could compare it to is the F11 4K Pro, which has a 2-axis gimbal and electronic image stabilization built into it. That one is currently $199 on Banggood.com. It seems to be a pretty great competitor for this one, especially in the price range. So another con I think about this drone is I started using the SanDisk Pro Extreme 64GB card, which seems to work better. I usually reformat the card every time, but I seem to have trouble with the record button. Sometimes I hit it, it starts recording, and then it won't stop recording. And then other times I hit the record button and it won't record at all. I've also had several videos that were corrupted, which it's hit or miss. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't, but it seems to be less of a problem when I use the SanDisk Extreme Pro 64GB micro SD card. But that's definitely one of the cons. So my 3 biggest cons are the recording issues, the sideways horizon, and the portability on the drone. My biggest pluses with the drone is the video quality, the way it looks, and as far as how stable it is most of the time. Also, the brushless motors help, especially in windy conditions. The drone has been pretty stable in 15-mile-per-hour winds. The large legs definitely help it in just about landing in any environment. It's one of the easier drones that I've used as far as the manual landing. All things said, I do recommend buying this drone. This is definitely a nice starter drone. It's easy to fly. This is a drone that'll get you hooked on the hobby, and it'll hold you down till you get something better. But for $165 currently on Banggood.com, it's a great drone for the price. But overall, my biggest plus for this drone is definitely the zoom feature, which you can zoom in pretty close to objects and they still look clear. It's a feature that you're not going to find in most drones under $200, especially something this good. I placed the link in the description for the unboxing video that I did on this drone. This concludes my review on the MJX B20 or Bugs 20 drone. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for future videos. I would really like to hear your comments on what you think of this drone, if you have it or if you're planning on getting it. Thank you for watching. Johnny Bravo out.